Hey Dale,
Yes, Andy.
what's a part two?
Oh boy. Part two is when you're sitting on the john for way too long and then your legs go numb, but you're not completely done, or you keep scrolling. Is that what you're
No,
referencing? No.
no. Number two is when you go in the toilet. Part two is hopefully going to be better than part one, which is obviously our gimmicks again. And I mean, it's relevant because when you say gimmick on the toilet, I always say I go from the calm tribal chief to Roman Reigns, the yard dog. When,
The big dog is here. I can't get over Cole doing that all the time. He's gotten so much better over years, but that big dog is here. I couldn't do it anyway. But you're absolutely right. We're back. We're doing part two of the gimmick changes, and then we're gonna kind of measure if it was for better or worse. I don't know. That's for everybody else to decide. You and I are just gonna air out our grievances here, and I think we started more. Well, we stopped at the ending of the Attitude Era, and then we were like, we got to pick this up again because damn, there's a lot to discuss here. And I'm going to go into one of my favorite ones. So we went from Canadian earthquake to earthquake. He left for a little bit, became the shark, then wasn't a shark. He was one of Roddy Piper's pickled peppers. And then when he left, he came back as an oddity as Golga.
he did, he did. And you know what? I always used to love the mask that Gallagher had on.
Yeah, because it was almost like he was Cartman, but S&M Cartman
Yeah,
while
yeah,
carrying around the Cartman doll.
yeah.
You know,
I
it
mean, the
took me a while to figure out who he was.
yeah. Well, I was the same, to be honest. I was quite old there when I found out who he actually was, which was just crazy. Like, and I also think for Earthquake was not a bad worker. He wasn't a bad worker at all, and I don't think as the oddity he showed that. But as we know, he was getting on at that point, wasn't he? So maybe it was for the best.
I think we're gonna make a plaque for him just so we could put in each one of our rooms. We got to find some sort of earthquake memorabilia or some like chest hair.
Yeah, you can
Um,
always just get a hammer and smash your wall. Sure.
yeah, yeah, like you earthquake ran into this wall, guys. Really? Hell yeah. Yeah, I hired him. Just run.
Well, I've got a really good one, and it's
Yeah.
someone that I feel like gets overlooked, and it's one of the probably only gimmick changes that, if you look at it on paper from what he changed to, it looks like it'd be a bad move, but if you look at the career, it was actually a good move, and that's from the natural Dustin Rhodes to Gold Dust. Normally when they move them gimmicks from that to something really gimmicky like that, it doesn't go well. But for Gold Dust or for Dustin, it was an absolute amazing change.
It was the best change she could do because you took this crazy off the wall and bizarre character like he was advertised. And he said, I'm going to go full fledged with this. It had no remembrance of his father. And until he actually mimicked becoming Dusty Rhodes and got that little pop on Monday Night Raw that one time. But he even wanted to give himself breast implants just to go along with it. And I'm glad he kind of stayed away from that too. Um, but yeah, I mean, Goldust created legendary tag teams. I think he was with Booker T for a while.
Oh, that was one of the best.
Yeah, it
One of
was
the
the odd
best.
couple. It was the
Yeah.
odd couple.
He
Was
was
that you?
Intercontinental champion as well.
Somebody, yeah, that's true. And a good Intercontinental champion as well. He licked Razor Ramon's face, which was,
Mm. Fought back Roddy Piper in a backyard brawl, backlot brawl.
yeah, had
You know.
lingerie on. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, that was almost like the first bra and panty match,
Yeah.
unofficially.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, he did have a bit of a sketchy time with the whole the artist formerly known as Goldust and stuff, but I think it went a bit too far there. That would just have Vince Russo all over it. But I think in all, I think it was just like probably one of the better gimmick changes, and it was really, really was for the best for his career.
Yeah, and then you'd even see when he would go into Royal Rumbles to go face Cody, and Cody would just have that mustache on. That's it. By the
Mm.
way, Cody was not a gimmick change, by the way, just putting that out there.
Yeah,
Putting
well,
the
he
end of
was. He
that.
changed from Cody to Stardust, didn't he? Which was obviously really bad one.
Okay,
That's
okay.
the flip side of the coin where obviously Dustin it really worked out for him with Goldust. The one thing they do in wrestling is they try and recycle things all the time, and I believe they tried to recycle that with Cody. It was just never going to work, was it?
But it was like an admitted. I don't know how to put it. Okay, so I forgot about Stardust. I don't know how. But it's like an admitted. change in mockery of the brother. So that's why I'm like, it wasn't a one-off appearance, but oh, okay, I'll put that on there. That was a crap change. And you
Yeah.
want to talk about another crap change in history? We had a guy that didn't really know how to headbang, but man, was he a great tag team wrestler. And then all of a sudden, he fell in love with his mother. Beaver cleavage, I'm talking about.
Oh, God's
The
sakes.
creepiest of creepy vignettes that only a virgin would come up with. That I remember him smirking at the camera while his mom's boobs were in his face, and it just like it was just unclean. Like I didn't know whether or not to enjoy that. And keep in mind, I was like 13, 14 years old, and I even knew this is fucking weird.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to go on too much longer with this because obviously we keep our videos short. But I am going to go into the last one, mate, right? And for me personally, this was the most significant um change in wrestling history.
Mordecai to Kevin Thorne.
How dare you? Okay. And it was the biggest gimmick change in wrestling history that changed the landscape of everything, in my opinion. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes. A
Go on,
Train to a Lord Tensei.
go up, Dale.
He did. He found himself.
Right.
That's a
Think
full-fledged
about it.
gimmick
I
change.
mean, this one is a heel turn type gimmick change, but
The Rock.
no.
Who is it?
Vince McMahon, from commentator Vince McMahon to boss Vince McMahon.
Somebody's got to comment on this below because he's not changing a gimmick.
But he was, because he was always the owner. But on screen, he was never the owner. He was always Vince McMahon, the commentator. And
But
then
we
all of a
know
sudden, he changed into Vince McMahon, the owner, on screen. But so realistically, that is a gimmick change. And for me, with the whole Stone Cold could have been Stone Cold all he wanted, but without Vince McMahon, he never would have been what he was.
it's a title change, but not like the literal, like, here's a championship belt. It's a
Okay.
title change.
No,
You're
no, no, no,
change.
no. No, no. It's a gimmick change. See, he was Vince McMahon, the commentator who commentated on the wrestling. That was all he done. He was the color commentator, whatever he done there. Next minute, he changed over to Vince McMahon, the boss, was getting in the ring, getting involved with things. That is a gimmick change, my friend.
Okay. But
Oh, sorry. I tell you what, this is where we'll get the gimmick. He changed from Vince McMahon to Mr. McMahon.
well, that's maybe he just needed to right the ship because remember the mid 90s were kind of crap with and he had to tighten the reins there.
Hmm?
So that's why he had to change. Okay, I'll give you that. All right, just that's a that's debatable and it's a very big topic right there. Is that a gimmick change? I I guess on one side, yes, but I just think maybe it was just a boss that wanted to right the ship for his company. I don't know. There was a couple other ones I wanted to mention that really it didn't wasn't necessary because it's like, what are you doing? Remember that they wanted to get rid of some other people, like names of other people. So you had the first solo ever was Jimmy Snuka Jr., who was Deuce, and then you had Jesse to Jam Master Jay, that was Terry Gordy's son.
Hmm.
Why can't you use those names?
Yeah.
They did it with Shane,
No.
but then
Uh,
again,
I've also got three dead quickly. Blue Blazer to the Rocket Owen Hart, Rocket Heart to the King of Hearts was another good one that you could put in there as well. But
we
let
love
us know,
Owen.
guys. We will come back to this. Obviously, we won't come back to it as soon as what we have done with this, but we will come back to this later on down the line. So please, in the comments, make sure you do give us some ideas of what your kind of best gimmick changes was and
Wait,
some of them what we not
wait,
got.
Linda McMahon to the wife to zombie catatonic Linda.
All right, on that bombshell, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. From me and the child, take care.